And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Rank. Troy, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic. Good morning. It's going to be, 95 to 105 today? Looking forward to it. Got some college hoops going on?
There is no reason to go to Scottsdale to go golfing in March anymore if you live in Denver, because we have Phoenix, Scottsdale weather right now, right?
Yeah, well, my son's in Scottsdale. It's a little hotter, but yes, it's the equivalent.
It is. All right, real quick, before we get this thing going, want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 50 years. Today, there is an auction for new and used snowboards and skis, new ski boots, snowboard bindings, helmets, goggles, sunglasses, headphones, and more. Bidding is started at rollerauction.com. You can bid from the comfort of your own home. If that's what you want to do, you don't have to go in there. You can do it all from your house. Also, you can set a price if you want to, and then just walk away from your computer. And if you get it, great. If you don't, I'm sure there are other auctions for you. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Game last night, and certainly very different than what we saw in the opening two games of their regular season series so far. Both of those were 5-4 in the shootout. This one, more of a defensive-minded battle, 2-1 in the shootout. Stars win again, and now they're only 2 points behind the Avalanche in the standings, which is really hard to believe. If I would have told you that back in January. With that, Jared Bednar said after the loss, he had very little issues with how the team played. So how concerning is this? That the Avs played a very good team, an excellent team on both ends of the ice and lost.
It's because they did it against this team. Had they done it against someone else, you do say, you know what, we're fine. We played great. We had a shot by Cale Makar go off the post. If not, we win the game. It's just, what is it with Dallas? It's this team. And I was in the locker room last night. I was at the presser. I'm not saying we're dealing with consolation victories here, but it kind of felt like that. And I get Bednar basically saying, if we play like this, we're going to win, we'll be fine. And it was, some of it was in context with they rebounded significantly from that disaster against the Penguins. This was a complete mess. But the larger issue to me is, what in the hell do you have to do to get any separation from Dallas?
I have your answer.
It's just incredible.
I have your answer, Troy.
What's that?
Maybe it's Lehkonen and Landeskog coming back to the lineup.
They have guys coming back too, right? Dallas isn't healthy.
Yeah,
they have guys coming. That's what I say. Every time the Avs have a counter, Dallas has something better. Dallas has something better, and they find a way to win when it matters most against the Avs. Not every time, but if they play 7 times, Dallas wins 4. If they play 9, Dallas wins 5. They play 11, Dallas finds a way to win 6. Like, it's just insane. It's like every time these two teams play, go to the scorecards, and the champ in this matchup keeps winning by 1 point on the judge's scorecard. To me, it's becoming a little concerning after everything the Avs have done. That, to your point, they're sitting here 2 points ahead of the Stars, facing a collision course with them in the playoffs in the second round.
If you remember, Dallas won the series last year, and Heiskanen didn't even play. And he's one of the best defensemen in the league, right? Sometimes, and I know you hate this phrase, sometimes you just have to tip your cap or tip your helmet or, push out your jersey and say, we did the best that we could. They dominated in shots on goal. They dominated in the faceoff circle. They were better statistically everywhere. Maybe the Stars are just better. Maybe you just have to accept it, because it has been that way in the playoffs. It has been that way in the regular season. Maybe, just maybe, and we see this in every sport, one team is another team's kryptonite. Unfortunately, the Avs might face their kryptonite in the second round, not in the Western Conference Final, certainly not in the Stanley Cup Final. Is it fair to say these Stars are better than the Avs? Yeah. It is what it is. If you are, I look at it this way. If you do your best to reach your potential every day, can you be better than that? Really,
I guess
it's a yes or no answer. If you're doing your best,
but I don't think this team's reaching its potential based on its talent. They're built to do one thing: win a Stanley Cup. What is it
So
they're
are the
missing?
Stars. So are the Stars.
The Stars are not as talented across the board as the Avs.
It's not necessarily about talent when it comes to winning. It's just as much about team. So you can look at the Stars roster and say it does not have a collection of top 6 forwards like the Avalanche. I'm with you on that. I mean, every time I see Duchesne on the ice, all I think to myself was the Avs wanted nothing to do with this guy. And now he's playing relatively well with the Stars. Where was Rantanen on the ice last night?
He wouldn't play.
That's my point. Maybe, just maybe, the Stars team concept is better than the Avs talent. We have seen that happen many, many times in sports. Maybe the Stars are just their kryptonite, with or without their coach that they fired this past offseason.
I know, that's what's crazy. You thought maybe they had a lane, that they got rid of the coach, not because the Avs beat them, but the Stars fell short. And they're still the same. It's just this. They're what was it from Three Amigos? They're El Guapo. they're one enemy. Like, they just cannot get through this team, and it's just fascinating to me because a lot of times when you can't beat another team, it's like, oh, we're just short a player, or we're just short. Like, you always feel like you're chasing. With the Avs, it feels like they've moved in front every trade deadline, every offseason, and then you look up and then there's the Stars. They're right there. Like, how the hell are they still there? It's fascinating to me. That's all. It's a rivalry. It's like, it reminds me more of boxing, where they all win and then things look weird, and then when they get together, one guy is just slightly better than the other. And you're right. To your point, that's a great point, Eric. Sometimes it's easier to appreciate than explain. Because when you look at it and you watch it, even last night I'm watching it, and it was just like, how are the Avs not winning this game? And there was a bad luck thing on Makar when it hit the post, but they're getting shots. There was, what were we, like 6 minutes into the game before the Stars even had a shot. They won a power play to start the game and didn't get a shot on the power play. You're like, okay, this is the Avs night.
The Stars had 10 shots on goal with 8 minutes to go in regulation.
I mean, that is insane.
Right. How many? Right. The Avs have the more talented roster. Maybe, just maybe, the Stars have a better team. So how do you make a team a better team? Is it coaching? I don't know. What is it? Tell me.
I don't know. I'm not around them enough to have like the
nuance. This is sports in general.
The nuance. I mean, for me, it's just to beat a team like that. It's two things. You can do it through the team, the collective, which is kind of how we feel like the Stars are beating them, Eric.
Yep.
Or if you're the Avs, because like you're not going to philosophically shift who you are with 15 games left in the regular season.
Right.
It's finding one guy who kills the Stars. Like, when you look up, it's like, God, that dude plays his best. So is that going to be Kadri maybe in the big moment? It's somebody that when we look up in a 7-game series, not McKinnon, probably not Makar, but one other guy plays out of his mind. Maybe it's the goalie, but just one guy that he is to the Stars what the Stars collective is to the Avs. I mean, I just see that as maybe, because that in sports, some guys just play unbelievable against a certain team, whether it's the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, Duke, North Carolina. I mean, pick these. Who could that be? Maybe it's just one guy who finds his niche in those big games. And if I had to just throw a dart, I'd want it to probably hit Kadri. And he looked good last night. He looked good in his role.
It make a difference.
It didn't, but I would say watching him individually, focusing on him, he's starting to find his way. Yep. If that gets going on the power play, and he was part of the goal to Makar, it was his pass, maybe that's it. Because I don't know, man. I just feel like there's no simple answer. What is your simple answer to how they get over on the Stars?
I have no idea. What I do know is styles make fights.
Yeah.
And the Stars' style works. And the other thing is what I can understand why guys in the locker room were not overly frustrated because it's a regular season game. Trust me, they would feel very differently if this was a playoff game, because sometimes when you play a really good game and you lose, you think, what the hell else do I have to do?
Right.
What the hell else do we have to do to beat these guys. But that's one game. Now let's go back and look at the history. And it's like that quite a bit.
Right.
That's what's so concerning, that they could play a great game, both ends of the ice, and still lose. Now, granted, it was lost in a shootout. I like the Avs 4-on-4 against anybody. Then again, it's a pretty dumb statement coming out of my mouth, considering you would think you would love the Avs better than anybody in the league with a 5-on-4 advantage, and they're not particularly great at that.
Right.
But with the Avs speed, I like them 4-on-4. Just remember something: every game has gone to a shootout. Shit happens in a shootout, in overtime, and another overtime, and another overtime, which is the playoffs. Then you find out who the better team is. We haven't necessarily figured that out yet, despite what it says: 2 wins and 1 loss for the Stars. A shootout is not a team thing. It is nothing. It's like ending an NBA game after the first overtime with free throws. That's what it is.
But here's my concern with what you're saying, because I don't disagree with you. But when in the playoffs we don't see the shootout, we go to a regular 5-on-5 overtime. The longer that would go, who would you have more confidence in, Wedgwood or Ottinger?
You want to throw Blackwood in there?
I don't think he's going to play in that series.
I know, and that's why I said that half jokingly. Ottinger's more proven.
Right. That's my concern. It's like, whoa, it's a shootout. Okay, but if they go to a regular overtime, which goalie do you take? I mean, I watched Ottinger last night, and I like Wedgwood. He's a little chaotic, but he makes the saves. Right. Ottinger, when he's right, oh my God, it's like, oh, whew.
Right.
He's a puzzle. He's a puzzle to solve. It's not. I'll leave you with this, Eric. Cale Makar said that because he was asked the specific question, is it concerning you can't get over on him, you can't beat him? He's like, no, because the way we played, and we're still ahead, and we have them one more time. And I was like, okay. If the whole posture of the locker room there was some frustration, but mostly guys are like, if we play like this, we're going to be fine. And I'm just like, you're right, against everyone except this damn team.
Matchups make fights. Now with that, you were in the press box last night, is that right?
That is correct.
Was there any talk about Nathan McKinnon's comment following the Penguins' loss that he was upset that they had 7 defensemen, 11 forwards on the ice? Then going into this game last night, suddenly there were 12 forwards and 6 defensemen.
Yeah, there was a kind of disagreement, not spirited, that was he a little more nuanced in his take. It wasn't as a direct shot as Bednar, as maybe, some thought. I was told, I'm like, what was the explanation for it? And they're basically, again, I don't follow them this way, that the guys weren't available. The Eagles roster was such on that specific night, they just couldn't make it work from a personnel standpoint, from injuries, them fielding their squad, that it wasn't capable, that this was not a reaction to Bednar saying, you're right, Nate, I'm going to fix it. It was more like, we finally got some bodies and we can fix it. But, it was an interesting thing that, man, McKinnon, he's frustrated, but it didn't, to answer your question, in the press box, no one said, see, Bednar got the message and he changed. It wasn't, nobody believed that.
This is nothing more than a numbers game. How do you throw out 4 different lines of 3 forwards when you have 11 guys? The math doesn't add up.
Right.
How do you have 3 defensive pairings with 7 guys? The math doesn't add up. Let's talk about last night's Nuggets loss in Memphis. The boys get into Memphis about 4:00 in the morning. And I don't want to say that's an excuse, but I think it is understandable. I think the difference is, if something like this happened in December, nobody's even talking about this. The problem is, it is March and we are weeks away from the playoffs. And the Nuggets, if they want to improve their seeding, need to win a game like this. And as my wife would say, not look like shite in the process.
Right. I don't want to hear any excuses about the travel. I don't want to hear any excuses about the schedule. I watched a lot of that game in the Avs press box because it was on the TV above us in there. They put up the stats for Memphis. I didn't recognize one guy in their top 5 scorers. And I mean, a couple I remembered from college a little bit, but I didn't recognize. I didn't even know a couple of these guys were in the NBA. I don't want to hear excuses about their travel at this point. I don't want to hear excuses about the back-to-backs at this point, Eric. Here's the deal. We've talked about the Nuggets having depth. How can you not then just roll out your second group with Pickett and Najee and that crew and beat that Memphis team that is actively tanking? Actively tanking. They are terrible. And so I'm going to have to believe that your charter flight got in late to your 5-star hotel where the trainers were waiting for you and your food. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, it's just, I hate when we use travel as
Listen,
excuses.
hold on a second. Hold on. It doesn't matter if you're sleeping in a Motel 8, all due respect to Motel 8. It doesn't matter if you have the best chefs in the world. That's not going to keep you awake when you get in at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sorry. Now, I agree with you, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you saying
it's just lame. It's lame, Eric. I traveled in baseball for 15 years, 250 days a year, and I flew at 6 in the morning, probably 200 times in a span of 3 years with no sleep. Like, at some point, you figure it the freak out. You have a bench, Eric. Then play your freaking bench guys or fly out 3 guys a day early like you do in baseball. Have another guy come up from the G League. It's Memphis. Jesus Christ. It's Memphis. They are giving up. I don't want to hear about your travel. And they act like they're the only team that does this. It gets old.
I'm with you on that. But when you go down the road that they have great food and really comfortable beds, that is irrelevant. That doesn't matter at all. When you're tired, you're tired. You can make the case. You can sleep on the plane. Okay? That's like trying to get a child to sleep on a plane. Okay?
Drink a freaking Red Bull when you get there. Come on now. Drink coffee. I just don't want to hear it. It's an excuse against a bad team. And you know who else agrees with me? Adelman. It's a terrible loss.
Yeah, he said it.
Inexcusable. Thank you. I don't want to hear about your travel. If you thought that was it, then play your second unit for the first 20 minutes.
Hold on a second. But remember, those guys are tired too. It's not
from
like
what? From not playing?
It's
the reason they're tired is not sleep, Eric. It's the duration of the season. These other guys haven't played. Najee hasn't played. Pickett hasn't played. Strother hasn't played. That's where, because you wake up as the adrenaline goes, but then your body's just tired. So the two forces are hard. Take the guy that's fresh, that hasn't played in 2 weeks. Let him get some run.
All right, so the Nuggets had some really good games, some impressive games against the Celtics, against the Spurs, minus Wembanyama, and the Rockets. Both of us thought, man, this train is now on the track, rolling forward, and we're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're thinking, this is not a train coming the other way. This is a light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, in Memphis, it was a train coming the other way. So for as much as we were moving in the direction of the Nuggets getting their shit together after last night's loss, is it more shit than getting their shit together?
I'm not ready to turn on them completely, to spin your phrase. I just feel like they've shown us over and over this year they can't be trusted. That's all. When they're right, they can beat anyone still. And you saw it in games where they gear up, they bow up, and they play great in the clutch. But they can lose to anyone, and they can beat anyone. And it just, for me, where I am with them right now today, is they can't be trusted. I'm not giving up on them. It's just they can't be trusted. And I feel like when they get healthy, we'll finally get a picture of it. But I can't sit here with confidence. I'll turn it on you. How can you sit there with confidence, even when Peyton comes back, when we see how many times they have lapses? How can you trust them, even when healthy? It doesn't mean I don't believe they're really good and they could get hot. So that's where I am. I'm not going to play they're back, they're done. Just, I'm in the middle with, I can't trust them. And that's unfortunate given where their season started. Like we talk about the Avs. How do you trust them, Eric? How do you trust them? Even when healthy. When, like, and even Jokic. I love Jokic. He almost had a quadruple double last night. He had 10 turnovers.
No, he had a triple double. It's just unfortunately, instead of rebounds, assists, or points, one of those was turnovers. He had a legitimate triple double.
And they defended him in the way the Jazz defended him, the Thunder defends him. All these teams now, they just run little guys at it, the little pushing strategy, run at his knees, and they're not reacting to it. Some of that's on coaching. But how do you trust him, Eric? How would you trust him?
They've been up and down. I'm with you on that. They haven't played with a full lineup. Not that all teams get the opportunity to have a full lineup when they go into the playoffs. But once Peyton Watson comes back, we will see. And Adelman is still trying to put together the jigsaw puzzle of what certain lineups look like. I understand that. At the end of the day, to me, the regular season has become irrelevant. It just has. They're not going to get one of the top 2 seeds. They're going to be 3 or down. Hopefully it's not 7.
Right.
Because if they are the 7th seed, then they're fucked, more than likely, because they will have to play San Antonio in the first round or Oklahoma City in the first round, which would be a disaster. Okay. So they're hoping between 3 and 6. And honestly, home court advantage, if they had the 3 seed, the way they played at home, does it really matter? Right. I've heard a lot of people say, hopefully they get the 6th seed so they can play the Lakers. I think that's a fair point. I mean, would you rather have the Lakers? Would you rather have Houston? Would you rather have Minnesota? You can make the case that the Nuggets are better than all of those teams. But at the end of the day, it's what they get in the second round and what they get in the Western Conference Final. I'm kind of done talking about the regular season. Let's just see what they do at this point, because they have been inconsistent. Can they flip a switch going into the playoffs and suddenly play good defense? I suppose we will find out. I'm not going to get all worked up over the loss to Memphis, although it is a terrible loss for a team that's trying to win games to move up in seeding, because right now they have the number 6 sitting next to their name. And we will see where they finish up at the end of the regular season. Bottom line is avoid Oklahoma City or San Antonio in the first round, and then throw caution in the wind. Excuse me. And then I suppose you see what happens.
Well, and get the time cards ready, because the boys in the excuse factory are going to be working overtime. Everyone's getting them ready.
Yeah, but who's that? Who's the excuse factory? It's not the players. It's not Adelman. Who's the excuse factory?
I mean,
fans?
Players, huh? I think fans, some of the media have just checked out that they couldn't win this season because of the injuries, and I just think that's unfortunate.
Here, listen, I mean, I read this morning where somebody said, "Hey, the Nuggets were terrible in their final 7 games of the regular season, the year they won the championship. They didn't play Jokic. Okay. They were so far ahead. They were like
they were rested.
They were like secretary at the Belmont. They could afford to lose some games." With that, coming up after the break, Bleacher Report ranked the Broncos with the 2nd best roster in the league before the Waddle trade. Really? Do you agree with that? That's next.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Black Hawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or nearly $25,000 in cash the weekend of May 16th. Earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming points on your player card. You can also earn a chance to win during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Rank. Want to tell you about Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. Easily my favorite barbecue spot in town, and here's the reason why. When you go to most barbecue joints, everything is deconstructed. What do I mean? You just have ribs, or you just have brisket, or you just have pulled pork. What Dave does is it's not deconstructed. He puts a lot of his ingredients together to make a ridiculously great menu item. And it is great menu after great menu item, so on and so forth, all the way down the sheet. With that, tell me if you've ever seen this as a item on a barbecue menu. The smoked meatloaf, and I'm going to tell you how it's made. It has chorizo, sweet Italian sausage, porter beer, and smoked cheddar. I mean, those are great ingredients that go into a meatloaf. And then it is served with a sauteed onion and mushroom balsamic vinegar cream sauce. That's the type of stuff that you see at high-level restaurants. You don't see them at normal barbecue joints. By the way, it is served with two sides that are outstanding. Mac and cheese is great. Collard greens are great. A lot of the sides are amazing. And the cornbread is absolutely outstanding. It is the only spot to go for me. Go check it out. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You can find Smokin' Dave's in Denver, Estes Park, Longmont Lions, and Greeley. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Before we get into how good the Broncos roster is, according to national experts, before the Waddle trade, let's talk about the Waddle press conference yesterday that you covered, you wrote a column about, and I think you summed it up beautifully. They got exactly what they wanted, a guy who fits their culture with a ton of talent.
Yeah, it was important to them, and I get this eye rolling over, you don't need a bunch of Boy Scouts to win, but they weren't going to do anything to disrupt the chemistry in that locker room. They weren't going to just take a stab at A.J. Brown. And part of that's the price. We get it. But or Stephon Diggs. They wanted a playmaker, and they wanted a guy with character who was going to fit in. And with Waddle, I think they scored on both. Now, he's got to deliver, but I push back on anyone that tells me with the 30th pick they were going to get a receiver to have his impact. They just the combined stats of Franklin and Bryant as rookies don't even sniff the average year of Waddle, which is 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and 5-6 touchdowns. But this is the guy they wanted. You know, Pat Surtain vouching for him helps. They had good intel on him. Yeah. He's a little quirky, a little funny, but he's a community guy. He's a character guy. He's been coached hard by Saban. It was just like box after box. And he's able to now, hopefully, on paper, open up their offense, create space for others, give Davis Webb a real toy to play with and make them more explosive. So, yeah, I think all of that mattered. I love this acquisition on every level. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but had they not done it, I would have been just disappointed if I found out later he was available and we didn't, you don't want to give up your 30th pick. I would have been like, wait, what? In this season?
Yeah.
So I came away from that press conference. He didn't say much. Alabama, Eric, just so you know, coaches the personality out of guys when it comes to press conferences.
Well, you know what's ironic about that? So did Bill Belichick. And who is a Bill Belichick disciple? Nick Saban.
Yeah. And who loves those?
Tom Brady suddenly had a personality when he went to Tampa. No, it's not. He's always had the personality. It's just it was quashed with the team concept that was the Patriot way.
Yeah. Because it's funny, and I've told Surtain this to his face, because on the podium, he's all right with us. He in his locker, he's pretty good. And you've been in there. You can talk to Pat, but he does a great podcast. And I've joked with him. I'm like, damn, you're really good at the podcast thing. I said, where's that guy on the podium? And he just laughed. And it's just because that's him with his friends, talking like he talks. You get him on a podium, it's like, oh, sure, boom, boom, yes, sir, no, sir. And they train him. It's part of it. I get it. But back to your point, they needed a playmaker and they needed a guy with high character. Right. And they feel like they got both. Now, if it's just character and he looks like a guy who can't get open on third down, then it's a miss. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's okay because they got the best guy. But I do think they hit on both levels here. I don't know what you think, Eric.
Adam Troutman has a ton of character. A lot of guys in that locker room have a ton of character. But Sean Keeler wrote a column about it, I think it was last week. Character doesn't catch footballs, in so many words, and I'm paraphrasing. And he is right about that. They just happen to get the perfect guy for their system in the locker room and on the field because he does things so much better than everybody else in that wide receiver room. Now, Bleacher Report ranked the Broncos with the second best roster in the league before the Waddle trade. And I've seen other websites having the Broncos that high. Now that they have Waddle, do you believe they have a top 3 or 4 roster in the league?
I would say top 4. I don't think 2 because
not Seattle and not the Rams.
Those are the 2.
You can go from there if you want to put the Broncos 3, but they are not top 2.
Well, and part of it with the Rams, Stafford is significantly better than Bo. And I'm bullish on Bo. Stafford is the MVP for a reason. He played out of his mind. And you look at that's when we would talk about people thinking Broncos offense is fine. I'm like, you watch the Rams offense? They have 3 tight ends who are better than anybody on the Broncos roster. They have Devontae Adams, who basically is just used at the goal line. And then they have Puka Nacua, who's just unguardable. And they have 2 running backs that are really good. Like that's
and they also have 3 tight ends who can block and can catch the ball. One of them being Terrence Ferguson. Cheap plug here. Ferguson's Heating and Cooling.
Exactly. And so even though they had secondary issues last year, and they cleaned that up, at least some with McDuffie, their issue for the most part was special teams. They were just tragically bad. When you look at the Seahawks, their defense is the equivalent or better, not statistically necessarily, but better than the Broncos defense.
Right.
Offensively, they are a little light. But Smith-Njigba, and they had Walker and Darnold, when you say it, you say it out loud. It's like, come on. He plays well. He does. Now, he makes plays within games that are facepalm plays, but those 2 are ahead. Then where do you go next? Do you go Baltimore? Do you go New England? Where do you go? So that's what I clearly think they're in the top 4. Who is the obvious 3 that I'm thinking? Are they thinking Buffalo? It would be 3 because I don't think Buffalo is better than the Broncos roster. Because Buffalo offensively is very similar.
Not defensively, but you have to look at the quarterback. And that weighs down the scale.
Right.
For sure. I mean, I look at the Broncos offense before the trade for Waddle as a flourless cake. You can make a really, really good flourless cake. And you could sell it for a high price, especially if you're a top-level baker. But no one would ever argue with me that a flourless cake is better than a cake with flour. Right? So now they have the flour in their cake with Waddle. That is the difference. They didn't have a lot of weapons. Now they have a major weapon who can make everybody better. I think it's going to make the defense better, certainly in practice. Cortland Sutton, he's not going to be getting double teamed. When the two are out there, are you going to double team either one of those guys so the other guy gets single coverage?
You're going to have to make a decision.
Right.
Because you didn't have to do that.
Because we talked about this yesterday. The Broncos probably they easily have a top 10 duo at wide receiver in the league right now. I don't even think you can argue that they don't.
And two guys who do it on third down, which is important. They do
two guys who do it on
downs.
third down, and when they don't do it on third down, they're great at collecting first downs. So they have a really good yin to the yang. With that, NCAA tournament starts today. For the first time in a decade, Colorado State have not been invited to the tournament. Are you looking forward to watching the start of the tournament today?
Oh, I love it. I love NCAA basketball. And I can't complain because living here, having one of the benefits of traveling, you get a feel for what it's like if you worked in that city, and you've worked in multiple big cities. I worked in some small cities, but Phoenix, but I've traveled pretty much every big city in this country I've been to because of sports.
Well, I've covered, so you know, two of the greatest college basketball programs in NCAA history. I started as a student covering Indiana. That's where I went to college.
Right.
We won a championship my freshman year in 87. I started covering the team as a media member in 88, and they were still really good. And then early on in my television career, I had the great pleasure of covering Kansas and Kansas State. K-State football was taken off. They were pointed in the right direction. But every time I walked into Fog Allen, it was an absolute treat, especially when I was able to sit courtside for every single game. I have experienced high-level college basketball covering it. To me, that's different than, Phoenix or major cities or things.
Well, a lot of those cities, that is their pro sports. Kansas basketball, like it feels like there's in North Carolina.
In Lawrence it is, but certainly not in Kansas City.
No,
Kansas City is split between Missouri and KU.
It has a feeling of a pro sport. Duke basketball feels like professional sport to them. North Carolina hoops. I'm a CU grad. We did not have that in Boulder.
Don't remind me. Do not remind me of Colorado playing Indiana in the NCAA tournament. Don't want to hear it.
That was when your guy Bob Knight was in. Bob Knight was on.
Move on, Troy. Move on, Troy, from Chauncey Billups' game. As I remember driving through Evansville, Indiana, listening to that game on the radio, and I was punching the steering wheel, bloodying my knuckles, thinking, how the fuck is this happening to IU?
Yeah, and Chauncey was that good. But going to CU, the accomplishment when I was there is they made the NIT, I think it was in 92, the first time since like 1969. Colorado has no storied basketball history. And I love Tad Boyle. Known him forever. I mean, they're competitive, but they're not a factor. So my point, my original point was this. I wish that March Madness was a thing here. And it was briefly last year with CSU, but we don't cover them on the regular. It's just where they kind of sit. And they're a little bit of a satellite in our limited resources at the Post now. But I love March Madness. I love it. There was a time in my life, but not now. I don't drink. I haven't drank for several years. But I wanted to go to Vegas for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But then I talked to one of my good friends, Jay Cornegay, about that. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know if you want to do that because it's a bunch of 50-year-olds like in a bachelor party for 4 days. I'm like, I can't do that crap anymore. I'm too old for that. But having been in their sports book, I'm like, that would be pretty sick. Sitting there in Vegas, 9 a.m. or whatever the hell time it is, watching basketball from 9 a.m. to basically 10 p.m. straight through for like, especially the first 2 days. I just think it's cool.
Did you fill out a bracket for an office pool?
We just do a family one. I used to do the big ones.
What is the prize in the family?
There'll be money involved. There'll be cash.
There'll be cash considerations.
Exactly. So yeah, we filled out. We do one with just the 4 of us, my wife and 2 boys. We have fun with it. But I knew from my son's title on his ESPN name who he picked. So that was the team I wanted to pick. So I purposely picked someone else because I didn't want to. Who did I pick? Yeah. You're one of your favorites, Michigan.
I love Michigan.
I thought you were going to whine about it because you're an Indiana guy.
No, I'm a Big Ten guy.
So are you in a pool? Or I should ask
No.
with you, Eric, how many pools are you in?
No, zero. I haven't been in a pool in years. I used to be a huge college basketball fan.
Yeah.
I just don't follow it like I used to. And the reason is I'm so busy following the Avalanche and the Nuggets and the Broncos. I don't have the bandwidth to enjoy another sport.
I've gotten that way as I get older. I didn't think that was possible, but I 100% understand what you're saying. You get into your mid-50s, and it's like you can only process a certain amount of information.
Right. I mean, I'm watching the Avs and the Nuggets concurrently last night. Sorry, I don't have the bandwidth to be watching NCAA basketball all day. Now, I will watch a lot of it. And not by accident, my calendar is pretty clear today where I have the opportunity to watch it if I want to. I don't know if I'll bet on it, but the one thing that I know about the NCAA tournament is this. This is the time when people start pumping out their chests, and they do it for two reasons. Number one, you're going to see this all over social media. I picked that upset. I picked that upset. I picked that upset. Good for you. What does your bracket look like? Then you have the second type of guy who does this, and this is really annoying as well. After what? After day one, you're 15-1, right? And you're telling everybody you're 15-1. Well, good for you. How'd you do in your 9 other brackets, asshole? And it's like a gambler. A gambler will only tell you when they win.
I know.
And they will tell you about their bad beats, but they won't tell you about the losses they have sustained over the course of time. But you watch on social, the people that put out that stuff on social media, how well they're doing in their single bracket, not the other 9, how many upsets they picked, right? Those are the same people that can't wait to tell you about their fantasy football team. I don't care about your
fantasy. You can't do that many, though, because you don't know who you're cheering. You literally have both teams in every game when you have 9 brackets. I will say this, the one thing that's changed with NCAA March Madness over the last few years with the portal is the underdog really doesn't exist anymore. Right. Like it used to, because all those kids have transferred to bigger schools. Right. That underdog story. Now, Miami of Ohio was great, and I love them sticking it to Bruce Pearl. That's a fun story. They're not making some crazy run. So that part, like you used to be when you filled out your bracket, if you put all 1 seeds, everyone laughed at you. It's never all ones. I think last year it was. Yeah. It's just the unpredictable nature of it is waning because of the portal, because any kid who's good at George Mason or pick a small school transfers the next year. He's not on the small school. So, but do you have a winner? I have Michigan. My son picked Arizona. I really wanted to pick Arizona this year. I feel like I've watched enough college hoops this year. I like them. Michigan was so dominant early. You could tell me Duke, because Duke beat Michigan late. Right. And the Boozer twins, I've followed that story since those kids were in high school. It's just Duke finds a way to not finish. They just bet. So I like Michigan when right, I think could pull it off. Houston is a dark horse too, because they have great guard play. You asked me about Michigan. I'm fully ready to admit that of my immediate, well, not immediate family, when I look at all my cousins, okay, and my sister, I am the dumb one in the family. My cousins went to Michigan and went to Brandeis and went to Tulane and went to Wisconsin. I went to Indiana. So you asked me specifically about Michigan. People can argue with me about this all day if they would like to. There isn't a school in the country that is as good as Michigan academically and athletically. That's why I like Michigan, because they are dominant in both. They are that great in football, basketball, for the most part, every year. And academically, they're certainly off the charts. I don't have a problem with picking Michigan at all. Not one bit. I felt greasy about it because their football program has become Brian Oklahoma. You felt Brian Greasy? No, I like Brian. I just talked to him a few weeks ago. You missed the double entendre. I know, but I felt slimy about it because the whole Michigan man thing has lost its luster because of the football program. It has now become Barry Switzer's Oklahoma team from the mid-'80s. Right. But it's a poll. I'm not taking a declaration of what I think about him. It's just literally I believe win right, Michigan can win it. And I'll take a poke at you. Indiana should have hired their head coach when they had the chance in May.
Say it again?
Indiana Hoops should have hired the Michigan coach when they had the chance.
Maybe. They got the right coach in football. I'll take a championship no matter how I can get
There you go. That's fair.
You know, Indiana might be a football school now as much
Exactly.
as
Indiana's a football school.
Yeah. Can't believe that just came out of my mouth. That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Rank. Make it the best possible day you can.